I'm not even drinking. I'm not even drinking wine right now,
I'm not
which is
either.
sad.
I was going to drink wine and then I realized I was out of wine, so now I'm drinking apple
Oh, I
juice.
thought you were gonna say, but it's 3 p.m. That
No,
has never
it's
stopped
4
us on a
p.m.
weekend,
I was gonna say we have recorded
so
earlier.
yeah.
No, I was out of wine, so I am drinking apple juice with a little bit of salted caramel whiskey.
Sounds really good.
It
I
is
am drinking
very good.
water because I am dehydrated.
I've been drinking almost exclusively water all day, and so I figured I would
It's
drink some
time.
milk. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I
and
mean, yeah.
probably after this, like I only really drink like when we're recording. So
Well, that works out then.
yeah, so probably after this I'll go back to water even. So how are you?
I'm good a little bit. You know how I was telling you that when I take a nap, it feels like I woke up in a new dimension?
Uh-huh.
That's how I feel.
That was I don't usually feel like that after I take a nap, but I slept on the couch today. I took my nap on the couch today.
Ooh.
And so I woke up and
Mistake
I was
numero uno.
I know. I woke up and I was like a little disoriented because my surroundings were not like what I'm used to is when I wake up. So
Mine was the kind of nap where I accidentally dozed off and then Wes has an automatic feeder bowl and that
right.
popped open and then I heard Wes meowing to try to get in. So I had to get up out of bed, let him in.
Hmm.
He started eating. Then Zero barked for some reason, which scared Wes, and then Zero started eating Wes's food. So I was like, okay, let's not do that. And then I got back in bed, and then Zero laid next to me, and then like 10 minutes into me kind of falling back asleep, Zero Rabbit kicked me.
Rude.
Yeah, it was like one of those naps where like every little sound was waking me up kind of thing. It's fine. I'll
That's fine.
probably nap either later or not. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I
Or
might take
mm,
another nap later.
like a mini nap, you know?
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
a little.
Or you know
But
what? I'll just probably play some YouTube and just kind of relax.
yeah, and then that feels kind of like a
Mhm.
nap because you're resting.
Yeah, yeah. I
You're
was
like, ah, brainless activity time.
I had started to watch something on Disney Plus when you were like, "I'm ready to record," and I was like, "Okay, I'm
What were you
awake."
going to watch?
Um, I don't know. I was just scrolling through Disney Plus.
Ah, I started partially watching Nightmare Before Christmas again because I haven't seen it in a year. Even though obviously it's one of my favorite movies, I
Hmm.
tend to not watch it.
Too often.
Yeah, because it would ruin it, I think. Not ruin
Yeah.
it, but like if
No,
you
it'll
watch
make it
anything
old.
too often,
Yeah, it's too
it's
old.
not,
Yeah,
yeah, you can't do that.
I get it.
It's not a good idea. But
I get it.
yeah, what are your highs and lows for this
Um,
week?
I'll start with lows so that we end on a high note.
That's a good idea.
My lows, I don't know that I have like any specific low other than like my ever present personality trait of being tired.
It's fucking same though. Like
um,
body, get it together. You are better than this.
yeah, no, really. My highs, I have a couple of them. So I treated myself slash the house to some new curtains in my master bedroom.
Yay.
And so I moved the curtains and the curtain rod from the master bedroom into the guest room slash my recording space. And it just makes a small difference, but I'm actually really pleased with it. Like it makes it feel more homey.
Makes it
It's
more
cooler
homey
in
in your
here.
own house.
Hmm. It's cooler in here because there's actually curtains up until this point it's just been those like really ugly plastic blinds which don't insulate super well, but yeah, I'm just yeah, it just is nice and it feels homey in the space that I record in. And right
That's nice.
now the dogs are quiet and they're napping on the guest bed with
Thank
me.
God.
I was
Watch
hesitant.
them wake up and be like,
I know. I know. I was hesitant to let them in the room, but Freya has been very lovey today.
so you're like,
So
fine, if you're good, you
yeah,
can lay there.
she followed me into the guest room, hopped up on the bed, and I was like, oh, okay.
You're like, well, I can't kick you out. Got it.
Yeah. So, what are your highs and lows?
We'll start with lows because
Mm-hmm.
obviously you don't want to end on
Right.
a low. This is probably TMI for the podcast, but I stopped taking birth control because of the side effects I was getting,
Mm-hmm.
and my body is now like, time to release everything that you've
Yeah.
kept in.
Yeah.
And I'm having a rough time because not only is it super painful, but I'm like super shaky and
Yeah.
dizzy
Yeah.
and like hungry and also not hungry. And even with, I've only been off birth control for a month and I've already lost 5 pounds.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
My body's like, thank you.
Yeah. No, I was on birth control for a hot minute and then I started having multiple periods a month. So when I came off of it, now every one of my periods is like the one you're experiencing right now. That's why I was on birth control to begin with.
Yeah, that's the thing is like, I went on birth control because of heavy periods. And as soon as I stopped taking it, I stopped taking it once last year and the same thing happened. I had
Mhm.
super aggressive periods for like 3 months and then eventually I was like, okay, I'm gonna go back on it.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if that's just how my periods are gonna be now. I hope not because I really don't. I
It's
one
going to take
can't.
a little bit of time for your body to adjust to
And that's
the
the thing is I've been
body
on birth
periods.
control for like 6 years, so I think they said it can take up to a year for your body to readjust back to its normal. Which,
Yeah, and
oh
that's true.
great, a year.
Some people adjust quicker than others, so
Yeah, I mean,
there's a
last
big
year I
difference.
would say I was off it for like 3 to 4 months, and I was still having heavy periods by the third month, but it did feel better. So we'll see. But overall, other than that, I'm feeling okay. I just kind of drained from that. I'm trying to like make sure I get enough iron and water and stuff. And then my high, I would just say is more like looking forward to my vacation in a month. We're almost exactly a month from it now. Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah, I'm excited about it and
Oh,
I booked a
we should
reservation.
have started this episode with Happy Halloween cuz that's
That's
tomorrow.
true. Happy
Ah.
Halloween. I don't know what I'm doing. Oh, you no, never mind. I'm going to be hanging out with Eric's mom and we're going to go to the winery.
Ooh.
So, and then I'm going to watch spooky movies all day and weekend because why not?
Good.
Yeah, my high I got to book a reservation for a place that I've been wanting to go to since I was a kid and they actually had a spot available for us to go during our trip there. So,
Nice.
it's always really booked. So, I'm really glad.
Oh,
And it's
good.
probably because of COVID. That's
I
probably the only
know.
reason.
I know.
It's also probably the last one of the last places we'll be eating at before we leave.
Oh, okay.
We'll probably be there for a while. We'll probably just pick up some Garbo food on the way back home. Like get Wendy's or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I feel
There's
you.
nothing like road trip garbage. It's true.
I know. I don't. I'm laughing because I agree with you.
It's so true though. It's like on the way home you're like or on a road trip, garbage please.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I only
Basically,
want garbage. Gas station, not gas station food, but like McDonald's,
I don't eat
stuff like that.
McDonald's because they're shitty
Yeah, I mean,
company and also disgusting.
I have not eaten McDonald's in a very long time, and I think the last time, like an actual meal, the last time I ate McDonald's, I got fries, and that was it, because
Oh
my coworker
no,
offered. But I don't eat meat, so there's not much I can eat.
that's true. That's true.
Flurry machines are equally disgusting.
Well, it's been a hot minute.
Yeah, well, my ex boyfriend, when I worked at Taco Bell, he worked at McDonald's at the same time, and he said that they only had someone come in once a year to clean out the McFlurry machine, and he said every time they opened it, he was like, it was filled with mold. And I'm like, that's disgusting. I'm horrified.
I'm so
It was
sorry.
so nasty. He was like, Janelle, never get a McFlurry. And I was like, thanks for the heads up.
Oh, that's disgusting.
I don't eat a lot of fast food. Really, I will say the place that I eat a lot of fast food is Wawa.
Oh, see, that's fair.
And Wawa, like,
Well,
isn't disgusting. And I can
yeah,
see them making my food, like, pretty
yeah,
clearly.
yeah.
And Taco Bell used to be a place that I go to a lot, but we had some really terrible experiences at Taco Bell. So now we don't not because the food was gross, it was just they fucked it up so bad. One
Mm-hmm.
time we ordered and it took them 40 minutes to make it because they kept doing it wrong and they kept giving us the wrong amount of food and then they gave us someone else's order and
Wow.
then they gave us someone else's order again And then we waited some more time. It was terrible. It was the worst experience. I'm like, guys, get your shit together.
Oh man.
They
Oh
also handed
no.
our food out the drive-through window. That happened too. Like we were
Oh,
inside and they handed our food right out the driveway window.
dang it.
Like, okay. What the
Merlin.
fuck is this picture of them?
Mer- Merlin was like standing over for you.
This is terrifying.
It was adorable.
I got some.
Got a spook story for me for this
Well, so
All
there's.
Hallows Eve.
Yeah, I tried to find something we've never done before, but also stuff I've never really heard of before.
Okay.
I also was trying to find firsthand accounts of this kind of stuff, but it was harder than I thought it would be to find stuff like this. But we've never covered UFO sightings.
Oh,
So for
that's
Halloween, we're going to be
true.
touching a whole new corner of the unknown.
The whole new corner of the dark side of
Yeah.
humanity.
Yeah, I thought it would be interesting. With UFOs, for me, I think we should start by saying, like, do you believe in aliens? And do you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I do too. I think
I think it
with
is preposterous the idea that we are in this
alone.
whole wide, endless, expansive universe that we are the only. No, that's preposterous to me. No, they're
It's like
aliens
the universe is constantly
expanding.
expanding
Yeah.
and changing and making new things, and it's like, you really think we're the only one?
Yeah. No, I think that it is preposterous. Yeah, to think that we would be the only ones. I don't know what other term I would use, but the term alien has been kind of synonymous with like little green men with oddly shaped heads. And I don't know that I necessarily believe that something like that what lives in our solar system. It could, like, I'm totally not against it, but I hate the term alien because it's so sci-fi sounding, but I don't know what other term I would use. But yes, I
It's just,
absolutely believe that
you
there
know,
is life
I think
outside of planet Earth.
I think it is not impossible to think that aliens could be like us, but
Mhm.
there is also obviously aliens that are probably like microscopic. You know?
Right, right.
There's a spectrum, just like how there is here on Earth. I think there's a
Absolutely.
spectrum of
Yeah,
life as well. But
I agree with
just because we don't know anything about it doesn't mean it doesn't exist, because we might think we have amazing technology,
you.
but in the grand scheme of the entire universe,
Yeah,
there's
we might
plenty
be.
we don't know about.
Yeah, we might be like super primitive.
Like, we just started exploring Mars.
Hmm.
Like, that's as far as we've gotten. So I think it's just interesting to see people are like, oh, there can't be zero aliens, not probable, even microscopic, and you're like, are you okay? Do you think
How
that,
self-centered do you have to be?
yeah, do you really think there's only humans? Like,
Yeah.
there's animals on our Earth. You think that's it? Like, I don't.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just weird.
Exactly.
So I just started Googling UFO sightings because I wanted to see what would pop up. And I like even went on Reddit to see if people had posted their firsthand like accounts,
Hmm.
but I couldn't find anything. I'm like, what the fuck, everybody?
Really?
Be yeah, isn't it
That's a bit
weird?
surprising to me.
It's a lot harder than you think it is to find. I did type in some more UFO sighting stuff, and eventually I got to the CIA government website. And I found a document of a UFO sighting. So
Oh.
I'm gonna read it.
Okay.
It's very interesting. I didn't read all of it because I wanted it to partially be a surprise for me
Sure.
too. Not
Sure.
I read most of it, but not all of it.
Okay.
So,
Side
this
note,
is
I'm gonna like text Eric and tell him to squirt you with a squirt bottle every time you say the word interesting.
oh my god. I'm
It's
just gonna cut them out. Don't worry.
it's okay. I just thought it was
Um,
funny. I was like, oh god, because we were listening
we
to this.
always do that. There's always one word we both latch on to.
Mhm. Mhm. Anyway, go ahead.
This document is a PDF on CIA.gov, and it says the article is by Jin Tao. It's in Chinese, so they translated it, okay?
Oh.
Here's what it says. Not only has a stream of reports of flying saucers come out abroad, but even in China, reports of flying saucers have begun. This is from October of 1980, by the way.
Okay.
The excerpts from letters printed below are reports of first-hand observations for which we express our sincere appreciation to the reporters. Do flying saucers exist? Are they flying objects launched by superior forms of life on other celestial bodies in our galaxy? We currently have no way of replying, but this does not stop us from studying and collecting clues, no matter how tenuous they may be. So on September 24th, 1979, a report was received from, I'm going to butcher these names and I'm very sorry, Yang Zhu Song, teacher at a supplemental school in Tianjin's eastern suburbs. This is the excerpt. It was the autumn of 1943, possibly a day in September at some time after 1900 hours, in the evening at my native home in Qingxian. I was enjoying myself in the courtyard when suddenly something flew across the sky from the east to the west, shining white light, but the light wave, the area covered, was not large. Its center seemed like a saucer revolving around a fixed point in the sky. When I saw it passing overhead, I ran up to the roof of the house at once to watch it, but it disappeared in about a minute. Later on, I heard that it had landed somewhere. I think I was not the only one to see it at that time, and later on, there was a lot of discussion about it, and it was said to be a new weapon that Japan had invented. And then here's another excerpt. On September 25th, 1979, a report was received from Wang Zuans of the Burmese language unit of the Beijing Foreign Languages Bureau.
That's a mouthful.
Around, yeah, yeah, it sure is. Around 1900 or 2000 hours on the evening of September 18th, 1971, before the sky had entirely darkened and before the moon had come out, and not long after the students from Ji County in the Hunan province were attending the May 7th cadre school at the Foreign Language Bureau in Beijing. They had just eaten. Everybody was in his room, some studying, some reading newspapers, some writing, and some chatting amongst themselves. Since I had nothing to do, I walked out the main entrance of the dormitory, only to suddenly discover, at a distance of about 2,000 or 3,000 meters up in the sky, a huge lighted wheel slowly revolving in a clockwise direction while moving forward. After I shouted, the people in their rooms came flying out to watch. Unfortunately, when I first discovered the lighted wheel, it had already passed over our cadre school and was located at 60 to 80-degree angle to it. It headed in a northwesterly direction away from us and slowly floated away. This great flying wheel assumed the form of a smoke cloud, and it looked like a little spiral nebula in pictures of heavenly bodies. It emitted a yellowish light, but I heard no sound. The center of this huge lighted wheel seemed thick, while it became gradually thinner toward the edges. Its speed of turning was quite slow, but its speed of forward motion was relatively fast. I observed it for about 1 minute until it gradually disappeared across the horizon to the northwest. All 10 of us kept looking at this extraordinary phenomenon until we could see it no longer. It's just interesting to
I'll
me. I don't
be
know.
honest, in my head, I was picturing like a Ferris wheel just kind of hovering in the sky.
And they're like, wow, I've never been on one of those.
Yeah, like one of those big, big Ferris wheels, like the
Like a,
Orlando Eye.
yeah, basically. Just hanging out.
Yeah, just like turning but also moving. I don't know. Anyway, that's what I was picturing, and you even described something different, and my head was like, "Nope, Orlando
Nope.
Eye."
Your brain's imagination was like,
So
no UFOs, only Orlando Eye.
yeah, exactly. Anyway, go on.
So the next excerpt is from September 27th, 1979. A report was received from Liu Taekwon, a graduate in the 79th class of the number 2 middle school in the Shangyang Municipal Middle School. It's a mouthful again.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
On October 23rd, 1977, I wandered the streets and lanes listening to adults chatting. It was almost dusk when suddenly someone pointed at the sky and said, "Look, what is that?" Everyone looked up at the sky. We saw only a globe shape, dark yellow in color, spinning there and moving forward very rapidly. It remained within our sight for only a minute or so, though we watched it until it disappeared. Out of our curiosity, I recorded the incident in my middle school arithmetic book, and this is what I wrote. At 6:45 p.m. on October 23rd, 1977, the direction of flight was from north to south. That's all he wrote, and it just ends there. I'm like, they didn't ask him anymore.
Oh,
That's just how
geez.
it ends. That's
I
it.
just want you to know that now you said dark yellow colored globe, and I was just picturing like one of those parchment colored globes that you can get for like your desk or office. And my brain is
Partially
just like
closed for
trying
your
to mix.
office.
You know what I'm talking? Like an
No,
earth
I'm just
globe.
thinking of like a lantern.
That works too. Anyway, so basically, my brain is like, she is
It's
saying
not
words, but
it's
we
not
are putting
thinking.
different things
Yeah,
together.
your imagination is like, nah. I'm taking this one from here, chief.
Yeah.
It's like, no, thank you.
First, it was like a Ferris wheel. Now it's a globe. I don't know what the fuck my brain is. Anyway.
Okay, so the next one, September 29th, 1979, the Shaanxi branch of the Chinese Academy of Sciences forwarded a report from Wang Yongjun, third-year student in the Department of History. During summer vacation this year, on an afternoon in early August between 1600 and 1700 hours, the sky was dark blue and utterly cloudless when my mother and I cleaned up some wheat that had been left out for sunning. Suddenly, we discovered, coming directly out of the west, a basically globe shaped, its edges were irregular, thing like a fireball, revolving and flying toward the southeast. It was yellow, red, and white in color, but yellow predominated with red next, and then finally white. The center of the globe had the shape of a tongue of flame that constantly changed, but the tongue of flame did not extend outside the body of the globe. It flew forward, at an even speed, faster than an airplane but slower than a meteorite, without stopping and without any apparent increase in altitude. The object flew for about a minute until it suddenly disappeared without a trace in the southeasterly direction. The object was larger than a wash basin but smaller than a sieve. Like, yeah, that thing. Like, for me, when I imagine this object that he's explaining, I imagine it to be pretty big,
Uh huh.
but it's not that big, which makes it interesting to
It'd
me.
be like that sometime.
I don't know. It's confusing because you're like, I don't know. It said larger than a wash basin, bigger than a bathtub,
I guess.
or like, is it like the wash basin that you would use to like, 1800s scrubbing of clothes kind of wash basin? You know
Mhm.
what I mean?
Mhm.
Or like sink wash basin. I don't know. I've heard wash basin used different times, and this is obviously translated, so like, who knows?
Right. Right.
Here's the last one I'm gonna share because it's long, and then
Okay.
I will link the rest of this to you. That way you can post it
Yeah.
on our blog because it's pretty interesting
Sure.
to read all of them word for word, but also to see the document itself because again, it is from the CIA, so it's weird.
Okay.
All right. So this is from, it says point of observation, Shungling 2nd Brigade in Jiang City. So on February 28th, 1979, a report was received from Wang Zhen, second year student in the Department of Chinese Language at Gongsu Teachers University. It was probably one day in August 1977 when I was at Baidongzi, I don't know, in Jingtal County.
Yeah, I don't know either.
At the time, I was a trade union cadre in the Yingzhen textile mill in the Gansu province, and I had just arrived together with a group of employees from the mill at a farm operated by the mill where we were going to join in the wheat harvest. And then it gives the approximate latitude and longitude, which I wouldn't remember. I don't know. I don't know my location at all times. So I barely know what direction I'm driving in sometimes. Like
Yeah, I was
I
gonna
will
say.
I will enter a driveway and like or like a gas station and then leave the other side of the gas station and I don't remember what street I was on. Like I can't. My brain doesn't work like that. And what's funny is I was listening to Beach Too Sandy, Water Too Wet,
Uh huh.
and Christine was talking about how she's also navigationally challenged and she was explaining exactly what was wrong with me.
Uh huh.
And apparently, after she had made that episode, a bunch of people and psychologists and psychiatrists were like, oh, that's actually a thing. And they diagnosed her with it.
Oh.
And the way what she described is exactly what I have. It's basically like your brain can't make a map in its own head.
Mhm.
Like, my brain doesn't make a map when I'm driving or trying to like learn directions. It doesn't know how to do that. It's really
Okay.
weird. Like that's why I get turned around very easily and I don't know where anything is. Like you can say street names to me, you can tell me right or left. I could leave my house the same way every day and I'll still get confused. So, I can't remember the name of it. It's like some directionally challenged thing, but
Right.
it's literally a mental disorder. I'm like, oh, good to know. But
Okay.
okay, I will continue.
All right.
That evening, a movie was being shown in the unit at the southern edge of our farm, and many of the people from our farm went to see it. It sounds like I don't know, I was thinking it sounds like a youth adult novel. I don't
Yeah,
know.
it does. Yeah, it does.
It was already quite late when I went, probably between 2030 and 2100 hours. It was already dark and the stars flickered in the sky. Visibility was excellent and the open countryside stretched as far as the eye could see. I and two other colleagues walked along together, examining the magnificent star studded sky as we walked. Since childhood, I have been quite fond of astronomy, and while a primary school student in Shanghai, I joined the astronomy section of the Municipal Youth Science and Technology Guidance Station. Suddenly, the attention of all three of us was attracted by a marvelous flying object. Since it was so peculiar, everyone seemed frightened, held their breaths, and made not a sound. A very large flying object emitted a milky white strong light, flew soundlessly over our heads, flying off to our right side at not too great of a speed going from north to south. Our first impression was that it was not too far from us, which was the surface of the ground, because if most of the stars may be said to be as large as a sesame seed, the flying object was as big as a 1 cent nickel coin. Or else, if it was distant from us, it was extremely large. It was rotating, but I have forgotten the direction of the rotation, and it had a power source rotating, but I have forgotten the direction of the rotation. Is what it says again. And it
Okay.
had a power source. The light was very bright, but not eye piercing. The light beam shone down in a whirl like shape, like smoke rings, as the body of the flying object revolved. Each ring came out in about 1 or 2 seconds, and this flying object seemed to be multi storied because it did not look like a circular from a cake, but rather like a cover for an enamel mug, and because it gave me the feeling that in addition to the light projected downward as it rotated, that the light from the other small points of the light were even brighter than the light beam. The entire flying object was shrouded in a vapor like light that was a little less bright than the whorl shaped light beams that shone down from the rotation, and the flying object was not flat.
Okay.
Within about 1/2 to 1 minute, it disappeared over the horizon to the front of us. And that was it.
Hmm.
There's a couple more in here. There's, I think, three or four.
Okay.
Um, it's 10 pages, the whole document, and
Oh, okay.
it's
That's not as long as I thought it was.
there's more obviously, but I figured I'd read some of it, and then there's only one other thing I want to talk about because obviously we could talk about UFOs forever because there's 50,000 accounts of them
Oh, I know.
that I apparently can't find, but
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
I'm sure if I dug more, I could probably find some more. But actually, Eric told me about this, which I've never heard of, and it's very strange that I've never heard of this because it was pretty big.
Okay.
And we're going back to the Russian roots. So this happened over 100 years ago.
Oh.
On June 30th, 1908, Russian villagers near the river in Tunguska in central Siberia reported a dark column of smoke and fiery flashes in a cloudless sky.
Hmm.
Other people described tremors that had damaged their homes and hot winds that literally knocked people off of where they were sitting, and the effects of what seemed like an explosion. They estimated it was about 5 miles away above like some Siberian area not far away from London, is what they said.
Okay.
Around Tunguska, there's 60 million trees over an area of about 800 square miles. They were all burned and leveled.
Oh my God.
An area is leveled.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that's terrifying. You have
Yeah.
no idea what it's probably like a bomb that went off. Like, you have no idea.
Yeah. I was gonna say that would be like if you didn't know any better, or because this is Russia, they probably thought somebody was like attacking them.
Yeah,
So
exactly. I
it was
mean,
just like
you'd be like, oh my God, we're dying.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
this was even before the World Wars. So, like,
Oh, that's true.
they were probably just like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah.
Why am I hot? Where'd all my trees go? So, The explosion was huge, and at the time there was no cameras, so there's no pictures of the event actually happening because cameras
Right.
were not really a thing in
Right.
1908 as much as they are now.
Yeah.
It is now classified as an impact event, even though there is no impact crater found at this area. Basically, the damage to the area was as if a comet or an asteroid had hit the ground,
Wow.
but there's no
Wow.
impact crater, so it
Right,
wasn't.
right, right. That's why it's like it's like
So,
something like that happened, but it's not.
but it
There's
didn't.
no
Yeah.
like crater in the. Yeah. Wow.
So it's still a mystery today, by the way. No one knows exactly what happened. There's only speculation about what could have happened.
It's
Um,
like that meme with the ancient aliens guy. Your
yeah, there are
favorite.
guys like his hair is all nuts and he's like aliens.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
There was a lot of damaged buildings because of this, and it is estimated that the shock wave from the airburst would have measured about a 5.0 on the Richter scale. So,
Whoa.
which is pretty strong.
Yeah.
And the energy it created was as if 3 to 30 megatons of TNT went off.
Holy shit.
Like
3 to 30 is a big
if this had dropped in a city, it would have leveled the city.
yeah, absolutely. I like that you
So
said 3 to 30 tons. Like
that's
that
what
is
it
a
says.
very
That's
big
a very
unit.
big scale. It's like if someone was like, "What do you want for how much like do you want for dinner?" I'd be like, "I don't know, 3 to 30." They're like, "3 to 30 what?" Or like
I want 3 to 30 chicken nuggets.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly. It's like, okay, like what how many though? That doesn't narrow it down for me.
Between 3 and 30. Did I fucking stutter?
Someone gives you 5 and you're like, "Thank you." That's what I said. Someone
Yeah,
gives you
exactly.
29, you're like, "Thank you." It's like, what do you it's a weird measurement, but that's
Yeah, it
what it
is.
says.
I'm sure
Um,
it makes more sense in like the actual
TNT.
scientific
I think
context,
most of it
but
is just they didn't know how to measure it. So they were like,
yeah.
"Let's throw this in here." And you're like, "But it doesn't narrow it down." They're like, "We don't care. Add it in."
Yeah, exactly.
Since then, there's been about 1,000 scholarly papers written about this explosion, and a team of researchers in 2013 tried to do microsample analysis from this area because it's still fucked. Like, the area is not
Right,
great
right.
still. It is the largest impact event recorded in American or earthly history, not American. This is Russia. What? This is the largest impact event on Earth in recorded history, even though there has been much larger impacts in prehistoric times, but in our human
Duh, that's how the
history.
dinosaurs died.
Exactly. So, here are some eyewitness reports of
Yes,
what
queen.
happened. These are all on Wikipedia. I tried to find other ones, but apparently Wikipedia had the most accurate ones. So,
Oh,
we're just
okay.
going to read these.
Sure.
I won't read all of them because it's
I
long,
won't read,
but
Rudy.
I won't read. So this is from S. Semenov, as recorded by Russian mineralogist. I didn't know a mineralogist was a thing,
Yeah,
but
somebody who studies like the minerals of the
I just figured it would be like I don't know. Does I thought there would it just seems weird because like when I hear of like archaeologists or whatever, it seems like they always have like more than one specialty. I don't know. If does that make sense at all?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Like only minerals, my guy? That's all you do?
Could be very fascinating. You don't know. Don't judge his life.
I mean, Leonard's dead now, so he doesn't need to know that I'm judging
Fair
him.
enough. Fair enough,
But
Nuggets.
he recorded this testimony. At breakfast time, I was sitting by the house at the Vanavara trading post, approximately 40 miles south of the explosion. Suddenly, that directly to the north, over Uncool's Tunguska Road. This is like this doesn't sound beautiful. This area, Russia has aggressive language. Um,
Yeah, Russian and
this
German
it's
are
pretty rough.
yeah.
The sky split in two, and fire appeared high and wide over the forest, as Semenov showed about 50 degrees up. The split in the sky grew larger, and the entire northern side was covered with fire. At that moment, I became so hot that I couldn't bear it, as if my shirt was on fire from the
Oh
northern
my.
side. Where the fire was came strong heat. I wanted to tear my shirt off and throw it down,
Same,
but
my
then
guy, but I just live in Florida.
but then the sky shut closed and a strong thump sounded, and I was thrown a few meters I lost my senses for a moment, but then my wife ran out and led me to the house. After that, such noise came, as if rocks were falling or cannons were firing, the earth shook, and when I was on the ground, I pressed my head down, fearing rocks would smash it. Like, what a way with words this guy has.
Yeah, really.
When the
He's a
sky opened up,
mineralogist, not
he's
a linguist.
no, this isn't even the mineralogist. The mineralogist is the one who recorded the testimony.
Oh, even better. Okay.
So it's just some random village dude who's like, rocks were gonna come and smash my head. So when the sky opened up, hot wind raced between the houses like from cannons, which left traces in the ground like pathways, and it damaged some crops. Later, we saw that many windows were shattered, and in the barn, a part of the iron log snapped. Pretty strong.
Hmm.
There's some other testimonies and stuff. So here is some of the scientific stuff they have found
Okay.
since then, because it's been over 100 years.
Okay.
Mineralogist Leonard Kulik led a team over the river basin to conduct a survey for the Soviet Academy of Sciences. So they went to the impact zone. They thought, because they had never visited this area, the locals told Kulik that they believed it was caused by a meteorite, because that's the only thing that made sense at the time.
Yeah, but if there was no
He
crater.
But they didn't go in that area. They were just like
Oh,
they
oh,
were
they
just the
just thought.
locals that
Oh,
were
okay,
like,
okay,
"Oh, we
okay.
think it was this," but they didn't go in that area. It was fucking ruined. Like they were
Oh,
like, "I'm
yeah, I
good."
get it. I get it. Okay, sorry, I
So,
misunderstood.
yeah, no, they led him to believe that it was a meteorite. So that's what he went in thinking it was.
Okay.
When he went to the zone, he told the Soviet government to fund an expedition to the impact zone based on possibly finding meteoric iron. So meteor iron. And they were like, "Well, I want iron." So they were like, "Go, please."
Yeah.
So he went to the blast site in 1927. He hired Evenki hunters. So they were like Tungusic people of like northern Asia, and they were indigenous people essentially to
Okay.
that area. He hired them because they knew where the blast crater was and they were familiar with the area and stuff like that. So where they expected the impact crater to be, there was no crater at all. Instead, they found a area about 5 miles across where the trees were scorched and had no branches, but they were all standing upright. The trees farther from the center of this had been knocked down in a direction away from the center, which made it seem as if something had fallen there or exploded from that point, because why would the trees be knocked over, you know?
Right, right.
In the 60s, they wind up finding out that the zone of the forest that was leveled, its shape like looks like a butterfly, like a complete butterfly,
Oh, that's cool. I
and
guess.
the body of the butterfly is about 34 miles, and the wings are about 830. That's how big it is.
Wow.
They located holes like as if it were meteorite holes, but he didn't have the means to excavate any of the holes. And after this, following 10 years, there was three more expeditions and they found more potholes. They found things that resembled craters, but there was no material uh, of any meteors or meteorites. So yeah, it was kind of weird. So there is photographs of like him exploring the area. I tried to find them. I'll have to see if I can find them again. But this area
Yeah.
is very creepy looking. It's just looks weird. I don't
Yeah, I
know.
bet.
It just looks very strange and it
Wait,
doesn't
what's
make
the
much
area called
sense.
again? I'll look it up so I can see.
The Tunguska. People were trying to speculate whether it was an asteroid or a comet. They suggested it was a small comet. Some people said it was an asteroid, a meteor. They had no idea. But here's where the UFO thing comes in. A lot of people speculate today that they think that it was a UFO because it didn't make much sense the way it exploded, and that the fact there was no blast like pattern and there was no hole, there was nothing. There was
Okay.
nothing there at all. But even if it was a UFO, my question is why is there like no UFO, I don't know, like parts or something? I don't know,
Yeah.
something that would also not be explained in that way either. Unless UFOs, like when they explode, they just burst into flames so that there's nothing left or something. I don't know.
Well, I'm looking at pictures of this big clearing, and one of them is like Tunguska event was caused by an asteroid that bounced back into space, and I was like, okay, but if that was the case, it would
It
still
would leave a crater,
leave a crater, and
and then they would have seen it go back up.
yeah. So I don't know.
there's
Okay,
there's no definitives. Like there's a bunch of theories, but none of them are definite because there's no proof. That's why.
right, right.
So it's very weird. But
Hmm.
that's what I have for UFOs for you today because there's a lot of UFO stuff I could talk about.
Right. Yeah,
I hope you learned something
I
today.
did. UFOs. I mean, every time somebody talks about UFOs, it's a different story. Like
I've
not
had
not
I've had
necessarily.
experiences that I will maybe one time talk about on the podcast.
Yeah, I'll have to get my
Maybe I'll talk
parents.
about it on the listeners.
Yeah, no, I'll have to get my parents to send me their account because when I was a baby, like still, you know, my like in a crib.
Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
Yeah, when I was a baby, I guess my parents had like a weird UFO experience driving
That's
at night.
interesting.
So I'll have to get them to send me that story, and we'll add it into the listener story episode, which is
Yeah, and I
Friday,
will
November
then
13th. Send us your story.
then I will talk about my story then on our
Yeah.
listeners episode because I mean I have plenty of stories about paranormal stuff that's happened to me
Yeah.
too. But that's a different day that I think we should do an episode together about
Yeah. Yeah.
since we both have experiences. But
Hmm.
in the meantime, I can definitely talk about the UFO experience because it's not that long, you know.
Right. Right.
That's all I got for you.
Cool beans. So I guess we're gonna hop into video gaming.
I'm excited. Tell me all the things.
Um, so well, I guess we'll start a little bit with like, have you been playing anything different this week or anything like that?
I have, and I've been I streamed it once, and I will be streaming probably today, but obviously it has probably already happened. But
Yeah.
most likely I will also be streaming on October 30th when this comes out. But I have been streaming Phasmophobia, which is a
Oh.
ghost hunting game,
Ooh.
and it's an indie game, and it was actually created by one person.
Oh.
And the purpose of the game is that you are a ghost hunting crew, and you basically just collect evidence to try and figure out what kind of entity it is. So
Mhm.
you're trying to figure out if it's a spirit, if it's a ghost, if it's an oni, if it's a demon,
Mhm.
everything. And it's cool. I like it, but terrifying,
Yeah.
terrifying. Angel, I've died every time because I've played with my brother and I've played with Eric, and each time I got wrecked. I got wrecked, and the issue is this game uses your mic. So you can talk to the ghost and it can
Oh.
hear you. So if they're hunting you, you have to be dead silent or that bitch gonna find you. Like it's so
Oh,
aggressive.
jeez.
I was
Oh.
so scared the first time we played. I played with Eric, and Eric was he was walking around the house, and I was walking around a different part of the house, and he went in a closet and he accidentally got locked in. I don't know how, but he got locked in. I opened the door for him. He came out. It was fine, but he literally could not open the door, which they do lock doors.
Oh, that's
So
terrifying.
after this experience, I was like, I'm out. I don't want to be in this house, right? But he
Mhm.
wants to explore, and he's antagonizing the ghost at
Of
this
course.
point. So each ghost has a name. If you say its name, it gets pissed off and tries to fucking get you.
Oh, jeez.
So at this point, Eric thought it was a great idea to go back in the closet with a camera, and he set it up so that I could see him from the truck.
Mhm.
Eric's face! Eric's even to face me! Eric fucked me up! Eric. So what happened was he sets up the camera and he starts just yelling the ghost name over and over again. And then he starts yelling, "The power of Christ compels you!" at full volume. And I can tell something is wrong because the lights are flickering and he's locked in the closet again, okay?
Oh, jeez.
And he's like, "Janelle, come get me." And I'm like, "Hell no, I ain't stepping in that house." Like, you just shouted at the ghost for like 10 minutes. I'm okay. But he was actually stuck in the closet and he couldn't get out. And I'm like, well, fine. So I get my flashlight. I run into the house as fast as I can. I open the closet door. I go to immediately leave the house because I'm terrified, okay?
Right, right.
I have all the lights on. When I came in, I hit every light switch I passed on. And then on the way out, my flashlight starts flickering, which
No.
means the ghost is hunting you.
No.
And I tell Eric, I need to leave. And I go to the front door and I go to grab it. I tried to open it and the front door was locked and I couldn't get out. So I started yelling because I knew I was gonna die because I heard the ghost. The ghost was going
Oh
behind
no.
me,
Oh no. Oh no. That's like some ring shit right there.
and
Okay.
then it grabbed me and snapped my neck, and then I died.
Oh jeez.
And then I saw my body in the afterlife, and I saw Eric in the house, and he was walking around, and the ghost was running after him, and then the ghost grabbed him and snapped his neck too.
Oh jeez.
It was so bad. Here, I'm gonna send you a TikTok I found of someone else playing it so you can get
Sure.
an idea of what it looks like.
Sure.
But I've played with Jalen, and Jalen is such a douchebag while playing. He's like, Janelle, just go in there. And I'm like, no. And he's like, Janelle, just go in there. Don't make me say the ghost's name. And I'm like, Jalen, you're being such a douchebag
What an
right
asshole.
now.
I have been continuing to play Bastion. I kept playing it a little bit the other day.
How has that
And
been?
it's a cute game. I'm enjoying it. I still haven't played a whole lot because shit happens, life happens. But I did keep playing it a little bit, and yeah, it's cute. It's a really good game, and I'm still not super sure what to expect, but I have made some progress, so there's that. So the game I've picked for November is called Valiant Hearts: The Great War, and it's on sale on Nintendo Switch right now for $5. But even when the sale ends, if you happen not to hear it or if you miss it,
In time,
it's
yeah.
only $20. So it's not that expensive of a game, and it comes from Ubisoft. And I'll just read to you the little blurb on the Nintendo website. It says,
Okay,
in
cool.
Valiant Hearts: The Great War, the lives of all characters are inextricably drawn together over the course of the game. Friendship, love, sacrifice, and tragedy befall each one as they help one another retain their humanity against the horrors of war. Explore a highly stylized world as you experience Valiant Hearts: The Great War. Sneak your way behind enemy lines and solve puzzles as you try to survive. Revisit historical battles along the Western Front and see famous locations from World War One.
Interesting.
Yeah,
What
so
kind of style game is it?
it says it's an action adventure platformer.
Okay.
So yeah, adventure platformer education.
Well, we will see how it goes
It's
then.
on sale right now on Nintendo Switch, and I think it goes to November 2nd, so it's not super long after this, but at least it gives everybody some time.
A little bit
Um,
of time, yeah.
yeah, and it's $5 on Nintendo Switch right now. So
Nice. Okay, well then
I'm
I will get
gonna
it.
buy it later today and start playing it. It'll be really cute. I'm excited.
I'm excited too.
It has a
And
dog in it, and I had to double check. I was like, "Does the dog die in this game?" As far as I can tell, the dog survives through the end of the
okay,
game.
good.
So,
But I'm excited because so we did play Unravel 2 and the characters are so fucking cute. You can customize for characters. I don't know if you and Kay did.
yeah, we did too. Yeah, we did too.
They're so cute.
Kay
I'm
is
two
much
prong
better
head.
at that game than. Oh yeah, Kay is the two prong head. Kay is much better at that game than I
Really?
am. Yeah, I don't know, like I for some reason the controls I never really got quite the hang of it, which is not like
They're
against.
a little awkward.
Yeah, I don't think that's against the game. I just
Were you
don't
playing it on
like.
PS4?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the controls are a little bit awkward, and if you're grabbing on while the other person's grabbing on, it like fucks up some stuff.
Mhm. Mhm.
But overall, it's very cute, and I like
Yeah,
it a lot. And I like the art style in that game
I
quite
do
a
too.
lot.
I when it first started, I was like, this is a very visually like appealing game. The textures are very clear and very.
You can see what's going on pretty
Yeah.
easily.
Yes.
The puzzles are really good. They're not super crazy to the point where you're like, I'm turning this game off.
Yeah, yeah. No, we had a good time playing it. So,
And it's a cool two-player game for people with
yeah, it's like, and it's not.
friends or spouses or whatever. Like
Yeah,
it's just
yeah,
something that you
it's.
can pick up and put down pretty easily.
Oh yeah,
I liked it.
yeah, me too. So, on to the next game, which we, like I said, will be Valiant Hearts: The Great War. So you can get that on Nintendo Switch right now for $4.99 and play along with us as we play it. It is just a single player game, so
Sorry, partners.
yeah.
Sorry, partner.
So I guess I'll hop into the video gaming news now. The first thing I have is actually a surprise update in the Epic versus Apple saga.
Oh God.
um,
Okay.
so this came out yesterday. This information came out to the public yesterday. So Epic Games had filed a new court filing saying that Apple has, quote, no rights to the fruits of Epic's labor, in that they're like fighting over the 30% that Apple takes from the apps that get done through the App Store. And Epic
Yeah.
is basically saying that's not fair because we've done all of this work and
And
Apple
you
does
are
not.
just taking it,
Yeah,
asshole.
yeah. And Apple does not deserve any of that. So the article reads thusly. Earlier this month, the U.S. District Judge Yvonne Gonzalez Rogers granted an injunction that prevents Apple from retaliating against Unreal Engine, but refused to grant an injunction that would have restored Fortnite into the App Store. Apple maintains that there were legitimate business reasons for its actions. Quote, at all times, Apple's conduct was reasonable and its actions were undertaken in good faith to advance legitimate business interests and had the effect of promoting, encouraging, and increasing competition. Epic's flagrant disregard for its contractual commitments and other misconduct has caused significant harm to Apple. However, so in the filing that Epic had done, it was on Friday, it came to light on Saturday. They basically said that its actions are, quote, a far cry from the tortious, even purportedly criminal conduct that Apple's opposition depicts. Simply put, Epic did not steal anything that belonged to Apple. The company couldn't steal proceeds from sales of its own creative efforts and did not interfere with any prospective economic advantage Apple sought to gain from Fortnite users, separate and apart from their interests in Fortnite. So basically, all this is saying we're not stealing anything from Apple because we made and developed the game. We should reap all of the benefits. As of this article, which was posted last night, Apple has declined any request for comments. So that's the update on Epic versus Apple saga.
Oh man.
It's just a small update, but I honestly wasn't expecting to hear much of anything until like next summer because they had kind of both agreed that they wanted a trial by jury, as I said the last time that I did gaming news. So I wasn't 100% sure like we were going to hear anything, and then suddenly that popped up and I was like, "Wait, what?" So, for anybody who listens in LA, 100 Thieves is turning its LA headquarters into a voting center. So,
Oh,
yeah. So,
nice.
following in the footsteps of the NBA, it's turning its LA headquarters into a voting center. It announced on Thursday. Yeah, it announced on Thursday that they were opening their compounds, which is a 15,000 square foot building, to be operating as a voting center for early election on October 30th to November 2nd, as well as November 3rd, which is actual election day here in the States. So the company 100 Thieves also partnered with graffiti artist Slick to create a temporary mural on the building. Right now it says just vote, but in like big cartoony letters. Here, I'll send
Yeah.
the link. And then on November 2nd, it will change. He will paint over it to say, instead of vote, it says we voted.
The fact that it's like Mickey hands is freaking me out. I
um,
didn't think that's what it looked like for some reason.
yeah, but no, I think that that's really cool because right now the big issue, at least here in the States, is that the lack of polling stations creates like lines
They're not
that are.
accessible.
Right. It's creating lines. Like one of my residents' family members the other day told me that she waited 2 hours for early voting.
That's what my friend told me too. They said they waited over 2 hours. I'm like, I cannot stand outside for 2 hours. I will
Yeah,
pass
and
out.
like we fucking live in Florida. It's too hot for that, number one. Number two, like I had seen a thread on Twitter the other day about like this is not people enthusiastic to vote. This is voter suppression.
It
because
is.
here in Titusville there are, for the whole city, 2 early voting poll stations.
That's insane.
And so people have to stand in line if they want to vote early, because the voting.
How else are you gonna get anything?
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. It's exciting to see that, something in the
People are
video
still
gaming
going through
world
with it anyway
are,
too.
yeah, a video game company like
It's
100
trying to
Thieves
help.
is trying to help, and they've got like 15,000 square feet is a lot of space. So
Yeah, there and it's
talking about,
plenty enough space for them to be like socially distanced
mhm.
and still vote.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that that's awesome. So, the next piece of news I have is a tiny bit politically related, but not super. I don't know if you saw, but AOC debuted on Twitch as she
Yeah, I
played
watched the
Among
whole
Us.
stream.
Yes, I did not watch the whole stream because I have the attention span of a firefly,
It was also like on a weeknight, and it
mhm,
was or a weekday, I think,
mhm.
or if not, it was like the day before we had to go back to work, and it was like 3 or 4 hours long. So,
Yeah,
and it
exactly.
started at 9.
Yeah, it was 3 hours, 30 minutes, and 59 seconds. So,
Dude, she was
at
savage.
the I know, at the peak of her broadcast, she had become among the 20 biggest streamers ever to stream on Twitch, like ever.
Yes.
Her stream peaked at 435,000 viewers. And
She also had a bunch of famous streamers playing with her,
yeah,
so
I was gonna say she teamed up with a whole bunch of famous streamers. She
it's like
said,
Jacksepticeye, Corpse.
yep, she played with fellow Republican, or I'm sorry, fellow Representative Ihan Omar,
Mhm.
um, Pokimane, Hassan Abi, Disguised Toast, Dr. Lupo. Yeah, just a shit ton of people
That was a lot.
over the course of these like 3.5 hours that she did.
It was pretty
Um,
awesome.
said this article here says, quote, despite only having minimal Among Us experience, AOC said on Monday that she'd never played before but seemed to have brushed up before the stream. She did well in her first program. She was chosen as an imposter in the first round with a partner and knocked out about half the field before getting caught.
She did really good. She was killing
Yeah,
people.
left and right.
She really was.
Yeah. So, and she just basically used this as an opportunity to encourage people to go out and vote, which is actually becoming an increasingly popular thing for politicians to do. They're using video gaming to get their messages across, like the Biden campaign debuted in Animal Crossing Island a couple weeks ago, and last year, Senator Bernie Sanders joined Twitch to reach a potentially supportive audience that we may not be hitting otherwise. So AOC joining Twitch and playing Among Us is,
Brings awareness.
it brings awareness, and it's something that politicians are starting to do more and more. And I think that that's awesome
I think
because
they're trying to make, which is obviously the truth, but they're trying to be like, hey, these people are just like you. Like
yeah, exactly.
AOC, I think she's only like 31.
Yeah,
And she's, I mean, you watching her play, you're like, I've never heard a politician talk like that. And then you
exactly.
realize, oh, they're humans, duh.
Yeah, and like she had talked about on her Twitch like a couple months ago how she plays League of Legends, which like God bless her because I can't play that game
Yeah,
anymore.
honestly.
But and especially not if I was a politician, because boy, if you thought that game was toxic as a regular person, try being a
I'm
politician.
sure she doesn't tell fucking people that she's a politician, or else
Right.
she'd never be able to play.
Yeah, but that the point is like I think that it's awesome that they're using these platforms that are, they're an unusual way to reach audiences, but they're reaching audiences that they might miss otherwise. So I think
Yeah,
that I
it's
think that
true.
that's awesome, and I am all about like politicians can be kind of scum of the earth, but at the same time they are human just like you and me, and I'm all about humanizing the people who will be running our government.
Especially AOC, she's cool as hell.
And don't forget to
And
go vote, guys.
yeah, she really does. If you've ever, listened to AOC talk about
Mhm.
stuff, the views that she has is the voice of a new generation.
Yeah, absolutely. I freaking love her. So, this is actually my last little bit of news and information. But it's something that I think is interesting because it's actually a conversation that's kind of been happening over the last several years, and it's about like property and copyright, but in the sense of streaming. And so the question is, should streamers pay game developers to stream their games? So basically, where this comes from is that Alex Hutchinson, who's the creative director at the Montreal studio of Stadia Games and Entertainment, posted a thread of tweets breaking down his views surrounding streamers and whether business license for games should be introduced into the streaming market. He believes that streamers who generate revenue from games that they've either obtained for free or, for a little amount of money should owe game developers a cut of that. In a
I
tweet,
think,
go
at
ahead.
least for me, I think if it's a small time streamer, then no. Because it's just exposure. Like, you're giving them exposure. If it's someone like Ninja who is like fucking millions of dollars,
Hmm.
then I think, yeah, you should probably pay a little bit to
Yeah.
them, or at least, you know, at least work something out with them
Yeah.
in some type of way. Because like that man literally is the thing that made Fortnite get so big.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm still undecided on where I stand on this, but I will read to you, or I will talk to you the rest of the article, and
Okay.
then
Yeah.
I'll tell you like my thoughts. So in a tweet that Alex Hutchinson had posted on Thursday, he said this quote: the real truth is streamers should be paying the developers and publishers of the games they stream. They should be buying a license like any real business and paying for the content they use. However, his his views did not go over very well in the gaming
They were
in
like,
the gaming
hell no.
um people were taking shots at Google itself. So Google had to come out with a statement saying, quote, the recent tweets by Alex Hutchinson, creative director at Montreal Studio Games and Entertainment, do not reflect those of Stadia, YouTube, or Google.
Ooh, it got that bad.
Yeah,
Where
so
they were like, "Hey, please don't like think that we're all like this."
yeah, well, he also had to change his Twitter or not change his Twitter, but he also had to like post a clarifying tweet that he is a creative director at a studio at Stadia, not the creative director of all of Stadia.
Dang.
So,
They
but
were like, take it back, motherfucker."
yeah, so the argument on the opposite side of this coin is that somebody by the name of Michael Hartman posted a response to this tweet also on Thursday, and it says quote, and it says this quote: viewer attitudes and expectations have changed and evolved. They are primarily there to be entertained by the streamer and the channel. They aren't in quote shopping mode when they are sitting down and watching a stream. It will only change and should only change if it benefits both streamers and devs. I know of at least one Twitch competitor that has a rev share with game devs as part of its unique selling point, though we've seen how hard it is for anyone to compete with Twitch. So essentially, the other side of this coin is like, no, they shouldn't have to because people aren't buying the stream. They're just watching the stream like entertainment.
They're watching it like as if it were a show or a movie.
Yeah, so
I feel like if we had to pay game
mhm.
developers for streaming, people wouldn't stream.
Right. Well, and that was another thing. I guess later on, Hartman had made the argument that like several years ago, the landscape around streaming was different because streamers directly influenced the sales of many bigger title games in like a very real, very significant, tangible way. But even then, like the type of game that a streamer streamed mattered because like if you streamed like some half-baked indie game, people still wouldn't buy it no matter, no, I shouldn't say half-baked indie game, that's not fair to indie developers, but let's say 6 years ago somebody streamed Anthem.
Yeah.
Like fucking that game was shit. It launched half baked, and development since then has been half baked. And
Yeah.
like that I love BioWare and the stuff that comes out of BioWare, but Anthem was I
Anthem was
tried
not
my
great.
yeah, I tried my very best to like Anthem. I tried my very best to give it the benefit of the doubt, but and I did have a good time playing it when I played the beta, but it wasn't there's a difference between quality and enjoying something, and I didn't necessarily enjoy it for the quality. I just enjoy the novelty of a new game, I think, which is a whole different topic to get on. But the point he was trying to make is that stating that streamers should pay a portion of their Let's Play revenue to game developers would negatively impact streamers for the most part. Like you were saying, Ninja's a different story, but most streamers are not Ninja.
And
And
they're not making fucking bank off of
yeah,
their
so
streams, so
most of the time streamers that's not their
most
day
the
job,
average
you know?
streamer is making enough to maybe pay their bills.
Yeah.
There is such a small percentage of streamers that actually can pay their bills with streaming.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why he was saying this can change, or this should change, and it would change and should only change when it benefits the streamer and the developer. But right now, that would only benefit the developer because streamers don't make bank on their streams by and large.
Yep.
So I am undecided because I see where both sides are coming from.
Yeah.
That's why I'm kind of like sitting in the middle of the fence here.
You're like,
Uh,
I get it, but
I get it. Like, I don't necessarily want to be like, I don't want to be
yes
the
or
guy
no.
that like sides with the big companies who already make a lot of money. But at the same time, like when I was in,
I think it really just depends on how big your following is.
yeah,
If you're
yeah,
giving credit where it's due,
yeah,
you know, then that's different. But if you're just some small streamer, I feel like it's a little
yeah.
bit
Like
different.
if I streamed with my 7 followers on Twitch, I would have to pay a developer. That would be a net loss for me.
Yeah, that's the
You
thing is
know?
like then I wouldn't stream,
Yeah, exactly, exactly, exactly. So,
so it doesn't make sense
uh, so that's
in
all the
some
news.
ways.
Yeah. So that's all the news that I have for you
Well, thank you for
in the
sharing.
video gaming. And
And happy Halloween!
happy Halloween! It's spooky.
I'm
And the
excited
next
for
time we air an episode, I will be very close to Christmas mode. So,
God. So I don't know if everyone knows, but Angel really loves
I
Christmas, and
fucking love Christmas.
I will say I don't hate Christmas. That's not the issue. It's just I don't know. I haven't been able to celebrate Christmas in forever, so maybe this year it'll be different because I
I
have a
think
house. I think it will be better, and I think I'll be a lot more in the spirit this
But
year.
to be fair, I started decorating for Halloween like in the middle of September, so
I did put red lights in my kitchen window so that when you're
nice.
standing outside, you can see this red glow coming from our kitchen.
How nice.
I'll have to send you a picture of it,
I just
but
like the holidays. Like I love Christmas and Halloween and
yeah,
yeah,
it makes the year funky and
I just love
I don't know.
holidays.
You
I
gotta
don't
change it up a little bit.
Anyway, so if you want to listen to us, you can do so wherever you are listening right now. And all of those places include Spreaker, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Acast, and YouTube. And I think there's a couple in there that I'm forgetting. Pocket Casts. You can follow us on our social. It's ghoulgaminggals.podcast on Instagram. It's ghoulgaminggals on Twitter. You can email us at ghoulgaminggals@gmail.com. You can visit our Patreon at patreon.com/ghoulgaminggals. And all of those things are found in one central hub at ghoulgaminggals.com. And you can visit our website to see our written content as well as any images and pictures and visuals that go with anything that we talk about. Janelle's Twitch is Janelle Nelly. Mine is Ariam Akila. And
I
I
think
think
that's
I
it.
covered everything, right?
Yeah,
Nice and
well,
succinct.
happy Halloween,
Happy
everyone. Be
Halloween.
safe and
We'll
have a good
catch you
time.
next week.
Woo! Good
Okay,
bye.
bye.
Okay, bye.